Paulson here again at Essential Travel Design Studios in Los Angeles. I'm privileged to be joined here today by Melinda Anderson from TAJ Hotels. So Melinda, thank you.
Thanks, Russell, for having me.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
First, tell me a little bit about the TAJ brand and you guys' properties.
Well, the TAJ brand pretty much rules the roost in India. We have been there since 1903. Currently have over about 130 hotels in our portfolio. About 115 of those are in India, and we do have now 15 outside of India. But we're part of the conglomerate called the Tata Group. The Tata Group is a very socially responsible company. 2/3 of all of their earnings go back into charitable trusts.
Obviously, it's an international brand, but I wanted to zoom in on India because it is such a unique destination and one that maybe not so many people are familiar with intimately as someone like yourself who represents all these properties. And recently, one of them was just in the spotlight.
Absolutely.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, we have 4 authentic palaces in India.
Okay.
And the one that was recently in the spotlight was the Umad Bhawan Palace, which is in the city of Jodhpur in Rajasthan. And that was the backdrop of the Priyanka Chopra and Nick Jonas wedding that actually took place over 5 days in November.
Wow.
So they had a Hindu wedding. They also had a Christian wedding. And Indian weddings in general tend to be long, but this one's probably a little bit longer because of the fact that they had the dual weddings.
Sure.
So they did a buyout of the palace for 5 days.
Okay.
So it was spectacular. It's an amazing destination. And it's actually a palace. The building itself is over 300 rooms.
Okay.
And about 2/3 of that is actually the home of the royal family. So the Maharaja and his family live in 2/3 of the palace, and then we have about 1/3 of the palace for guests. So it's almost like a royal bed and breakfast, if you were, in a way.
That's why my next question was going to be, what about that property do you think made them choose it? And it is because it's the royal family.
I think it's very iconic, and it's just a spectacular building.
Right.
And the destination itself, Jodhpur's a very, very colorful city.
When would you say is the best time to visit Jaipur or this particular property?
Just all of Rajasthan, all of India in general. The best time as far as weather goes is November to February.
Okay.
That's when you're pretty sure it's not going to rain. And also it can get very hot other times of year, so that's also the time when the climate is the best as well.
Right.
But India is really pretty much becoming a year-round destination now too. So, but apart from the Umad Bhawan Palace where this amazing wedding was, one of the main things that TAJ has that kind of differentiates ourselves from the competition in India is these royal palaces that we have.
Right.
So we have the Umad Bhawan Palace, as we talked about. We have the Lake Palace in Udaipur, the Ramba Palace in Jaipur, and then down south in Hyderabad we have the Falaknuma Palace. And these are all authentic palaces that are still owned by the royal families, but that we have the privilege of operating as hotels.
So rather than being built to be a hotel, it has the bones and it was built to be a palace.
And these experiences are very much a part of, when you're sending anybody to India, they should definitely incorporate a palace or two in the experience.
Right, right. I think that's sort of this romanticized image that people have too. So,
Absolutely.
So to be able to actually deliver on it and experience it is wonderful.
And TAJ is really good too at just adding all these extra special touches. People, we talk about wow experiences, and when they go to these palaces, or any of our hotels, but the palaces in particular, they come back with these, it's like, how can we top this on our next trip? And I know you have very demanding clients, but but India, I don't think anybody's ever disappointed. They come back just glowing and raving about the experience.
I would have to agree. Can you give me one insider tip or suggestion for someone maybe visiting India for the first time? Something that you would recommend doing, or a certain location or an activity that might not be so, readily available online or something like that?
Well, or I just think, like as I mentioned, the 4 palaces, I mean, when people go to India, they normally go to the north, where the Umad Bhawan Palace is, where these other 2 that I mentioned in the area of Rajasthan. That's also where the monument, the Taj Mahal is. So people, when they go to India for the first time, they tend to do that circuit. But the 4th palace that we have that I mentioned was the Falaknuma Palace, and that's in the city of Hyderabad, which is more southern India. And what I would suggest people do is that, if by all means, go to the north if it's the first time and experience a little bit of Rajasthan, but then go south, because it's like a completely different area. It's like India is a huge country, just like the U.S., so many of the countries in the world.
Right.
So just by doing one small segment, you're only getting a teeny tiny taste of just that one area.
Right.
So if you do a couple of the palaces in Rajasthan, then go down south and do Hyderabad, you're getting a whole nother area, a whole different culture and different types of food. different. Everything is different down there. And Hyderabad is also a business city. It has a brand new airport, very easily connectable to most of the major international carriers too. So you could start in the north and then go down south, and also include Mumbai as well, which I think is a fascinating city. Do Mumbai, Hyderabad, and then fly home.
Almost do like a little palace circuit,
Absolutely.
so to speak.
And you get a little bit of taste of different areas and regions of India too, because they're very, very diverse.
It's such a big country, and there's so much to discuss.
It needs many visits, right, to really see the whole thing.
But these 4 palaces specifically, I feel are really unique. So I thank you for coming in and discussing them with us.
Well, thank you so much for allowing me to do that.
Absolutely.